Good evening, everybody. My name is Reverend Adam Hayden, and we are here for another episode of Tarot Tuesday. This is Season 1, Episode 5, and I think things are really starting to kind of even out. So the cards I picked for this week was Six of Pentacles to start out. Now, Six of Pentacles shows a woman with a scale in hand and blessing and a bunch of other stuff. Now, this card is about generosity. This week, we are seeing more in the sense of giving and receiving of abundance. We are getting closer on the world scene, well, particularly in the United States, for the idea of another stimulus. Those things are still in the works, and that might be pushed off even into another month. So now is a time that we as individuals really have to be mindful of our brothers and sisters. There are so many people out there that are suffering right now due to the pandemic, due to social constraints caused by our society and our inability to look at each other as human beings. So we're seeing the move from a concept of a balance of giving and receiving of value and energy. Now this is a cycle of life very much just like any other cycle. It will come and it will go. And right now, I see more of it in the sense of the smaller associations that we have. A lot of people are donating to each other through such things as Patreon, and everyone's starting to really find their niche, their joy, their calling to not only just survive, but to enjoy what they're doing. And I think we are slowly moving into a new social grouping. The looking for people with business licenses is going to diminish because in the end, we all have skills and abilities that are worth money, that are worth helping others. We are starting to really see, because it's been over a year now. It's been over a year since people started going into lockdowns, and we are not going to see a change back to how things were before this pandemic. We're going to look at things a little more progressively. We're going to see just how bad society really is to each other. And because of this, it is very important that we be mindful where our thoughts and our minds go. And the best way to look at that is through where we spend our money. We find out what people's priorities are by how they spend money. How many local shops are you buying from? Are you buying off of Wish? Are you buying off of Amazon? Are you walking in the stores? Are you checking your friends' web pages and stuff for what they're doing? Or are you spending lots of money giving to people who don't pay hardly any taxes, like those who own Amazon or those who own Walmart? No. Most people are still spending their money in big business and not benefiting their local arena. And so I think it's very important that we be mindful of our tribe. Everyone's got certain gifts and talents. Everyone's got an ability to help another. This is about tribalism. And now, that's a term that's been bandied about for decades, and usually with a negative connotation. But the thing is, as a psychology student, I learned very early on, we are all tribal by nature. We may have different degrees of tribes that intermesh with each other, but some tribes that are, in different arenas. Like, I'm a member of a men's bearded group because I love my beard. But not all of them and stuff are into witchcraft, and, they've got some talents and stuff that I may be of benefit, and I got talents that may benefit them. And that's where we need to really look at when it comes to our ability to be generous And I'm not just talking in the terms of finances. I'm talking also of being generous to ourselves. You've got so many talents. We all have so many talents, and I don't think we really believe in ourselves enough to really put them into work. Now is the time to start planting, to prepare for the next harvest. And I think that's what the Six of Pentacles is telling us. It's time to plant those seeds. We got 6 months worth of working towards to our next harvest. So when it comes to the Six of Pentacles, think of those pentacles as little seeds that are to be planted. In the next 6 months, try to plant 1 seed a month and see what happens. So the second card I pulled is the King of Cups. Now, the King of Cups is one of diplomacy and compassion. It's about learning how to stay open to your emotions and unconscious impulses without being overwhelmed. And unfortunately, when I pulled this card, what I saw and what I felt is unfortunately very QAnon related. The concept of ex-President Trump being inaugurated on March 4th, that really has me nerve-wracked. That puts me within the 3 weeks I put for a previous prophecy I once mentioned. And so now is the time that we've got to be mindful about how we phrase things. And this isn't necessarily about cancel culture. This is more about what could happen in response. There are people out there, and their paranoia has run so rampant that it's quite possible that really bad things could happen. One of the things that I had seen was a possible assassination. Now, that didn't happen within its time, and I hope that that was because certain things went in effect through like the butterfly concept, and that this event had changed or been postponed or pushed off. But there was still that sense of the number 3. I didn't know if it was 3 days, because this was about the time of the inauguration of Joe Biden, to 3 weeks to 3 months. And we are near that part of that 3. And so just be mindful, be safe, and be diplomatic, because there are things that people pick up over time. Negative astral nasties and stuff, as Donald Michael Craig mentioned in his Modern Magic. And so it's important that we be mindful of our emotions. And this may sound very Jedi-like, but, be mindful of your feelings. And they can betray you. If you do not know how to control your impulses. And so when people are heightened to a sense of fear or a sense of desire being fulfilled, they will ignore the little signs that say, no, your vibe's telling you, back away. They don't see that. They see fulfillment, end goal, martyrdom, whatever you want to call it. They believe that when their blood is shed, there is more truth to what they are doing. And so the King of Cups is about diplomacy and compassion, learning to be mindful of one's emotions, but not being controlled by them. And so I think that's something we really need to be worried about within this next week, specifically with the QAnon crowd. The other card I pulled was the Star. Now, in my deck, the Star is called Bronwyn. Now, Bronwyn was a sister of Bran Bendigid. Bran was a high king of the Isle of the Mighty within the Welsh purview, and she was given in marriage to Matholwch, the king of Ireland, and they had a child. And their story is mentioned in Yamabinogi, but Bronwyn is a star. Bronwyn is the star of hope and renewal. Now, Bronwen, in this card, it doesn't show it. It just shows that there's two bases for water and stuff. But in a traditional card reading, there's a woman over a river. She's got two jugs of water. One's pouring into the river. One's pouring into the land. Out of the land part, there's 7 rivulets. No, 5 rivulets, and they symbolize the sensations that, sight, sound, taste, touch, hearing. And these are also symbolic of the clair senses, the clear senses that comes with being a psychic. And so that's the water that's poured on dried land. That's coming into the physical. The other one is being poured upon the land and thus providing nutrients and growth. So this is a card about being balanced between common sense and intuition, of being vulnerable and pure. But I'm mindful that when I pull the star card, being a Tolkien fan that I am, I'm naturally thinking of Aragorn. His name was Esto, or hope. But what people don't also realize is the phrase that was used in Lord of the Rings, the hands of the king are the hands of a healer. When Aragorn becomes king of Arnor and Gondor reunited, he is given the title Envenyator, the renewer. And so the symbolism of Aragorn, the star, hope, and renewal tells us that even with what's going on with QAnon, with the world today, there is hope. There is hope for a better world, and that it starts within each of us. Because even Aleister Crowley, the infamous occultist, said in his work, every man and every woman is a star. And because we are a star, we have our own orbits. When we are in our own orbits, things will flow how they're meant to flow. But when a star goes off course, that's when trouble comes to happen. And if we're all stars, we have to be mindful of how we interact with others. And this goes back to the idea of being compassionate, being generous, being kind. Something that's really sorely lacking, I've noticed, within the last 10 years. And it's not even caused by social conditioning and stuff. It's just the way things go in America. We are very much an individualistic culture. The blessings upon one person, the hero, those kind of things, those are very much a Western concept, while in a more balanced world state, it is less about a single person and more about a people, which is tribal. Which is very tribal. By working with each other, we can move mountains. And unfortunately, the number one mountain that we see constantly being torn down and moved is the mountain of monetary necessity. We are no longer a people of joy and happiness. Now it is back to slavery. It really is. And the thing is, we never got out of it. We went from god kings to lawyers to mega corporations. Either which way, we are still in a social class. We are still in a worldview that there are people who are better and people who are worse than us. And the problem is we keep forgetting that we are all people. That we are merely one entity in a great web of life that interacts with each other. And so I ask you, as you go through this next week, what are you grateful for? I'm grateful to all my patrons. Because of you, I continue doing what I am doing, and my bills are starting to be taken care of. I can start working towards expanding my ministry. I can focus on my education. As many of you know, I'm starting my Witchcraft 2 class with the Temple of Witchcraft Mystery School, and so that's going to be awesome. I started that yesterday. But I would like to give a shout out to all my patrons, to VJ, to Jill, Elaine, Angad, and our newest patron, Dwayne. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time and the value to give me more confidence that I am doing what I am needing to do. You guys are amazing. And if you haven't become a patron, it is easy to become one. I've got many different tiers. You can find me at patreon.com/Rev Adam Hayden. Easy to find. If you want to know more about the stuff I do, the other social media I'm upon, you can easily go to my website. That is revadamhayden.weebly.com, and you will find that below on the ticker. Every Tuesday, I try to sit down, grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, and just sit in front of the camera, see what my divinatory spirit, my familiar, through the means of the tarot, come to have me express to those who come and view me. Now, I'm only on YouTube because to stream in multi arenas is difficult, and because I can't afford to go ahead and get premium service for StreamYard, you can only find me at this time on my YouTube channel, which I hope is easy to find. And if you can't find it, let me know. If you're unsure, you can always email me, reverendadamjhayden@gmail.com. But like I said, everything needing to find me can be found on my website. I'm also doing a study group on Caro Gwyn. This is held on Fridays with my patrons. If you are not a patron and would like to get involved in the study group, let me know and I can guide you in that direction. And Caro Gwyn was like a linchpin in my practice as a witch. And I love sharing information, not just from it, but my own experience through it. And I find it to be very, very enlightening. And after I'm done with Jan Caro Gwyn, I'll probably even start other little study groups, because we are shaped and molded and adapted upon each other. Not just us as humans, because we are more than just our physical selves. We are an interaction of various forms and forces that come together just to make us. Your atoms, your cells, they're all living entities that work towards a common goal. And that doesn't stop merely within us. That is where the concept of, above, as above, so below, as within, so without, everything is interconnected. Everything has an entity, a personhood. And when things are done in the physical world, things are also likely done in those realms that we cannot see with our physical sight. And Caro Gwyn goes into this and talks about how to build those relationships. It goes into an understanding of how life may have been like before the Indo-European expansion, back to the true old ways, or the ancient fairy faith, which is the undercurrent of pretty much a new wave of religious spiritual practice, which really isn't even old. It's new, it's old, it's always been there. It is true animism in its core. And how we interact with each other changes our fate. And so if you would like to get involved with the Caro Gwyn study group, send a message to me, go to reverendadamhayden.weebly.com, or better yet, go to my Patreon, become a patron, and you'll have access to everything. I put everything on there first. People who don't know, I'm also working on an article to be sent to Pendrake Publishing, and I hope to have a lot more other stuff coming up in the future. But as with any ministry, It is all focused on those that I serve. As a student of the mystery school this year, I am working towards, through a structured class, to become a priest of the old religion. Now, I've been a practitioner of the craft for 30 years now, and most of that was self-taught, though I did have a few teachers along the way that kind of gave a little guidance. This is my first time through an actual course setting. The first course was to be a witch, the second to be a priest or priestess, and I was chosen to be accepted into the second year, so I'm just starting that. And so that'll allow me to get a little more experience and a little more legitimacy, so to speak, on what I do for a living, and that is to be a priest and witch, and to spread the knowledge I have to provide healing and compassion, and just kind of bind everyone together in a sense that we are all in this together. And I hope that as times go by, that my own things will start getting up. I'll get more views. I'll be able to do more things than just Tarot Tuesday and Fairy Friday, and I'll really be able to get out there. And so if you want to help me, get the word out. Let people know about me. I provide a lot of services. I've been doing this for 30 years. Well, as a practitioner, I'm really new out to the scene, and so that's maybe a little bit why I'm a little edgy, and I'm still getting used to getting over being in front of a camera. I'm not necessarily a people person. And so, if you have any questions, go ahead and reach out to me. If you want to be involved in a Tarot Tuesday, or you want to do a show together and stuff, just let me know. Let's do it. Let's hype each other up. Do some love raids or whatever, as they call it on TikTok. The whole point is that we need to build our tribes. We need to find those that we can be generous towards and with. We need to work on pooling our resources. And I'm not talking just financial. I'm talking about mental, spiritual, our skills. Can you woodwork? Can you really branch out? Now is the time to plant those seeds, to prepare for the harvest. What seeds are you planting? What seeds do you want to plant? Let me help you. Let me help you, because this is what I do. If you're not a Patreon patron, my services are $25 for pretty much everything. Tarot readings, distance healing. I can provide spiritual counseling and coaching. I can do guided meditations. One thing that I'd like to do is to maybe even just do a simple podcast where I just kind of sit down and read from a book and just kind of be. So if you want to get involved or would like to see more stuff, hit me up, let me know, and I have no problem in stuff and expanding my services. But at this point in time, I'm almost about done with my half an hour stint. So I just wanted to stop for a second. You know what? Let's stop for a second. Let's close our eyes. Take a deep, deep breath in. And let it out. Feel that? You're alive. Because you are alive, you can start anew. You can start over. Let's do that. Start over. Begin something new. Let's do this. I'll see you next Tarot Tuesday. So mote it be.